there's a silent war going on in modern society. Not the one with bombs or bullets, but a war of value, perception, and self-worth. Every day, men are judged, not just by what they own, but by who they are. In a world obsessed with trends, speed, and superficial appearances, it's easy to be seen as just another option. But the truth is, you were never meant to be just an option. You were meant to be a standard, a force, a luxury. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." But how does a man become so powerful, so valuable, so grounded, that people don't want to lose him? That's what this video is all about. In today's world, being a nice guy or a good enough man isn't enough. You need to be a man of substance, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. A man who commands respect by how he walks into a room, not because he demands it, but because he embodies it. We'll be breaking down 9 unshakable keys to becoming a luxury, not just in your relationships, but in every area of life. From self-mastery to social value, from discipline to identity, from inner peace to outer presence. This is the blueprint. You'll learn how to elevate your value without saying a word, carry yourself in a way that redefines standards, make people think twice about treating you casually, and become irreplaceable in a world of copy-paste personalities. These lessons are grounded in ancient wisdom, forged through modern struggle, and polished with timeless principles that separate the remarkable from the replaceable. Before we begin, make sure to like this video to support the channel. Subscribe for more powerful content made for men on a mission. Share this with someone who needs this message today. And leave your thoughts in the comments. I want to know, do you feel like people treat you as an option or a luxury? And why? Now let's dive in. Chapter 1. The Power of Presence, Commanding Respect Without Saying a Word. There's a saying that floats through every elite circle, high-performing boardroom, and legendary locker room. How you enter the room is how the room will remember you. That's not just poetry, that's strategy. In a world where most people are talking too much, trying too hard, and proving themselves to the wrong audience, the first and most powerful key to being a luxury is presence. Not your looks, not your wallet, not your status, but how your energy speaks before your mouth does. What is presence? Presence is the invisible force that surrounds you. It's the calm in your eyes, the steadiness in your posture, the stillness behind your actions. It's what makes a man walk into a room and shift the air without needing to perform. Think of ancient warriors, Stoic emperors, or modern icons like Muhammad Ali, Denzel Washington, or even Jordan Peterson. Their words matter, yes, but their presence is what makes people lean in. Presence tells the world, I am rooted, I know who I am, I don't chase, I attract, I don't explain. I show why most men lose. Presence. Most men aren't lacking talent or strength, they're leaking presence. Every time you over-explain yourself, every time you seek approval, every time you let insecurity control your decisions, your presence gets diluted. When you scroll too long, compare too much, gossip, beg, or apologize for existing, you lower your personal frequency. The modern man is overstimulated, undercentered, and desperate for validation. But a man who is a luxury, who is unmistakably high value, doesn't seek the room's approval. He brings gravity to the room. Presence is born from internal peace and clarity of identity. And the moment you lose that clarity, people start seeing you as just another option. Ancient Stoic philosophers taught that inner calm is the foundation of power. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." That's not just about conversation, it's about posture, it's about stillness. A man who listens deeply, who observes before reacting, radiates a quiet dominance. When you slow down your speech, stand upright with a relaxed chest and let silence do half the talking. You become undeniably present. You don't chase the moment. You own it. Let me paint you a picture. 2 men walk into a networking event. One is loud, eager, flashing his business card. laughing too hard at jokes, trying to be seen. The other walks in calmly, eyes steady, scans the room with purpose, doesn't speak unless spoken to, but when he does, people stop and listen. Who gets remembered? The one who said less but meant more. Presence is not arrogance, it's not fake confidence, it's awareness, calm and certainty. In a world of speed, presence is rare, and rare things are considered luxury. How to build presence daily. 1. Control your breathing. Breath is the bridge between mind and body. When you breathe slow and deep, especially in tense situations, you control your state. A man who can slow his breath under pressure can slow the room too. 2. Practice deliberate stillness. Before you speak, pause. Before you react, breathe. Before you explain or ask yourself, do I need to say this? That pause builds power. 3. Master your body language. Shoulders back, eyes level, jaw relaxed. Don't fidget, don't slouch, don't pace. Be rooted like an oak tree. This tells the world I am not moved by trends, emotions, or chaos. 4. Speak less, say more. Use fewer words, make them count. A man of few but potent words is always more attractive than the one who talks endlessly. 5. Engage in activities that build solitude, meditation, cold showers, martial arts, long walks. These make you immune to overstimulation and increase your emotional bandwidth. Presence thrives in silence. When presence becomes power. When you develop presence, something powerful begins to happen. People treat you differently. You'll notice people pausing before they interrupt you. Women looking at you twice. Not for what you wear, but how you carry yourself. Strangers assuming you have authority, even if you say nothing. Because presence is magnetic. It speaks to something primal in all of us. The instinct that says this man is not ordinary, this man cannot be replaced. Presence is the reason why some men can sit in a chair and own a room, while others jump through hoops and go unnoticed. Remember this, luxury is never loud, it's felt. Presence is never forced, it's cultivated. If you want to be seen as a luxury, you must move like one. And it all starts with presence, the calm, centered energy that whispers, I am not here to compete, I am here to exist in excellence. Comment below, I moved with presence. Chapter 2. Value elevation, becoming the standard, not the substitute. There's a massive difference between being wanted and being needed. One is temporary, the other is essential. And if you want to be seen as a luxury, not just a convenience, you must become the kind of man who elevates his value so high that being around you feels like a privilege, not a routine. We live in an age of short attention spans and even shorter loyalty. Social media has made options feel unlimited, and people have become addicted to novelty. So how do you stand out? You don't just fit in, you rise above. You become the standard, not someone's safety net. What does it mean to be the standard? Being the standard means you carry a level of discipline, excellence, and integrity that others use to measure themselves. It means you don't chase people. People adjust to keep up with you. You don't lower your voice to be accepted. You raise your frequency and let only the tuned-in receive you. This is what high-value men do. They don't demand respect. Their consistency, growth, and principles command it. Don't beg to be loved in places where value isn't recognized. Be so valuable that your absence echoes louder than your presence ever did. The core of value. Discipline. Luxury is never cheap, and value is never built overnight. To elevate your worth, you must embrace one word: discipline. Wake up when it's hard. Show up when no one claps. Learn when others party. Delay pleasure for a deeper purpose. Discipline builds confidence, and confidence, when aligned with humility, becomes charisma. That's what makes a man magnetic. Not a fake smile or a rented lifestyle, but a track record of self-respect. People trust disciplined men, not because they're perfect, but because they're predictable in their integrity. Picture this: two men are building homes. One cuts corners, rushes the job, and paints over cracks. The other takes his time, inspects every nail, chooses the best materials, and builds for legacy. Guess which house stands through the storm? That's how life works too. Some men are flashy but hollow, others are quiet but indestructible. You decide which one you want to be, the easy option or the elegant necessity. Add unique layers to your value. In today's world, men must become multidimensional. You can't just be strong physically but weak emotionally. You can't be smart but spineless. You can't be spiritual but broke. You need range. Here are 4 practical layers to elevate your value. 1. Intellectual value. Read daily. Develop original thought. Know how to hold conversations deeper than memes and headlines. 2. Emotional value. Heal your past. Learn emotional control. Be a man who remains unshaken, not cold, but calm and centered. 3. Social value. Cultivate high-quality connections. Network with integrity. Be the man others are proud to introduce. 4. Spiritual value. Have principles. Believe in something greater than yourself. Faith gives depth. And depth, my friend, is rare, which means it's luxury. Luxury is not found in things, but in the depth of meaning behind your choices. In ancient Japan, the samurai were not just warriors. They were men of honor, etiquette, and value. They trained daily, studied philosophy, served with purpose. Their sword was sharp, but their character was sharper. A samurai was considered a treasure, not just because he could fight, but because he could represent strength, wisdom, and stillness in one body. That's value elevation. Be a modern samurai. Cultivate multiple dimensions until you become unforgettable. Cut off anything that lowers your value. Being a luxury also means not being available to everything and everyone. You must be willing to walk away from jobs that exploit your ambition, relationships that drain your self-worth, habits that feed your lower self, environments that keep you stagnant. A luxury car isn't found at a junkyard. A 5-star chef doesn't cook in a gas station, and a high-value man doesn't waste his time trying to prove himself to the blind. Say less, do more. Let your growth be the proof. When you become the standard, when your value rises, people change how they move around you. You no longer beg for loyalty, you attract it. You no longer argue for your worth. It's understood. And suddenly people who once overlooked you start trying to match your energy, not because you became arrogant, but because you became undeniable. That's the moment you realize, you're no longer someone's maybe, you're someone's standard. You become luxury, not when you're chosen by everyone, but when you're valued by those who truly see. Comment below. I raised my standard. Chapter 3. Emotional wealth. Controlling your energy, not just your environment. We live in a world that teaches men how to get money, chase status, and lift weights. But very few are taught how to master the most important battlefield of all, their emotional world. And here's the truth that separates the rare from the replaceable. A man who cannot control his emotions will always be owned by his circumstances, but a man who masters his energy becomes untouchable. Emotional wealth isn't just about staying calm. It's about building an inner kingdom so strong the storms outside don't shake it. Why emotional wealth is a luxury? Think of it this way. In today's society, everything is designed to trigger you. News cycles, social media, relationship games, gossip, disrespect, injustice. The average man reacts. He yells, he breaks things, he sends the angry text. He argues with people who aren't even worth the breath. But a man who is considered a luxury, he's different. He doesn't react to chaos. He regulates it. His emotions are not toys for others to play with. They are tools he uses to stay sharp, focused, and respected. When you have emotional wealth, you don't chase attention, you attract peace. Don't beg for love, you express presence. Don't fight for dominance, you command space with stillness. Luxury isn't always about silence. Sometimes it's about choosing not to speak when lesser men would. The ancient Stoics, men like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, were masters of emotional wealth. They believed the only thing you can truly control is your response, and from that comes all power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just philosophy, that's survival in the modern world, because in today's climate, emotional mastery is rarer than riches, and anything rare is luxury. A high-level CEO once said, "When I hire someone for leadership, I don't just look at resumes. I push their buttons, I challenge their ego. If they stay calm and centered, I know they can lead. If they get flustered, I know they're not ready." See, people trust men who can remain composed in heat, because those men bring security. And that's what luxury does, Kay. It brings stability in an unstable world. How to build emotional wealth as a man. 1. Name your triggers. And if something controls your mood, it owns you. Write down the people, patterns and environments that lower your energy. Then build boundaries. 2. Stop negotiating with emotions. You don't need to feel like it to do the right thing. Wealthy men don't wait for motivation. They move with standards, not moods. 3. Practice stillness daily. Sit with discomfort. Learn to breathe through tension. Stop running from silence. The man who can sit with himself can stand with anyone. 4. Respond. Don't react. Whether it's in a relationship, at work, or during conflict, train yourself to pause before speaking. That 1 second of silence can save you 1,000 regrets. 5. Keep your circle pure. Emotional wealth is drained by chaos. Protect your peace by choosing people who bring clarity, not confusion. If someone repeatedly costs you your peace, they're too expensive. Emotional wealth in relationships. Luxury is not about being cold, it's about being calm under pressure. Whether it's with women, family, or colleagues, the emotionally wealthy man sets the tone. He doesn't lose his center over a text left on read, a delay, or someone else's bad day. Women, especially, feel this. A man who is emotionally secure is seen as safe, grounded, and rare. He's not perfect, but he's consistent. He doesn't withdraw love or explode in insecurity. He leads with presence, not pride. The most attractive man in the room is the one whose mood is not dictated by it. From emotionally drained to emotionally rich. You may be asking, what if I've been reactive my whole life? What if I've let emotions rule me? Here's your answer. Start today. Emotional wealth doesn't require a perfect past. It only requires a disciplined present. Every time you choose not to respond to nonsense, every time you walk away from pettiness, every time you choose self-respect over self-sabotage, your emotional bank account grows. That's wealth. And it can't be stolen, faked, or outsourced. When emotional wealth turns you into a luxury, you know you've become a luxury when your peace makes other people uncomfortable. Not because you're better than them, but because you're no longer accessible on an emotional discount. You don't flinch, you don't fumble, you flow. And that's what makes people say, I can't find another man like him. Because in a world full of reactivity, you became the calm in the storm. Comment below. I chose peace. Chapter 4. Selective availability, making access to you feel earned. If there's one trait every luxury shares, whether it's a rare car, a high-end watch, or a refined man, it's this. Scarcity. Not in a manipulative way. Not in an arrogant way, but in a disciplined, intentional, powerful way. Luxury isn't something that begs for attention. It doesn't show up everywhere, to everyone, at every moment. It's exclusive. It's selective. And that's exactly how a man must treat his time, energy, and presence, not as something cheap and endlessly available, but as something people must earn. A man who is always accessible loses his mystery. A man who is always available loses his value. Selective availability is not about playing games. It's about playing at a higher frequency. where access to you becomes a privilege, not a guarantee. Why most men are too accessible. Most men fear being forgotten, so they overextend. They say yes too fast. They answer texts too quickly. They jump at every call, show up to every event, and let anyone disrupt their focus just to feel included. But here's the truth. You will never be respected for being everywhere. You will be respected for being intentional. The man who guards his time, who says no with calm confidence, who disappears to work on himself and returns sharper, that's the man people start to admire, miss, and remember. Ancient wisdom. The monk's solitude. In ancient Eastern traditions, monks were not seen every day. They weren't in every marketplace, they weren't at every party. They were often in silence, in training, in observation. And when they did speak or show up, people listened. Why? Because their presence was earned, their words were sacred, their movements had meaning. That's selective availability in its purest form, not avoiding people but filtering distractions so that what's left is purpose. As a modern man, this wisdom still applies. Don't be everywhere, be essential somewhere. Real life. Example, 2 types of men. Let's look at 2 men in a dating context. Man A is always available, always texting, always asking, when can I see you? Always showing up at the first request. Man B has boundaries. He responds with intention. He's focused on purpose, not chasing every opportunity. He doesn't rush, but when he gives his time, it's quality. Which man gets taken seriously? The one who values his own time, because when you treat yourself like a luxury, others either rise to meet your standard or fall away. And either result is a win. Signs you need to protect your availability. You feel drained after most interactions. You're constantly pulled into other people's drama. You rarely have time for your own goals. People expect you to always be on call. You feel guilty for saying no. If any of those are true, it's time to reclaim your time and energy. Remember, not everyone deserves full access to you. How to practice selective availability. 1. Have non-negotiable focus hours. Set time blocks where you are unavailable, not to be rude, but to be productive. Luxury isn't rushed, it's crafted in silence. 2. Say no without guilt. Stop explaining your no. A confident man doesn't need to justify self-respect. I'm not available is a complete sentence. 3. Create levels of access. Not everyone should get the same version of you. Some people deserve full presence, others get distance. Learn to differentiate. 4. Limit digital noise. Don't be a slave to your phone. Turn off notifications. Delay responses. Every instant reply trains others to think your time is disposable. 5. Disappear to upgrade. From time to time, go quiet. Let your growth speak louder than your posts. When you return sharper, stronger, and wiser, the silence becomes strategy. When you become the man who is rare. Here's what happens when you become selectively available. People respect your time. Women value your attention more. Friends stop taking you for granted. Opportunities come to you because you stopped chasing. Your presence becomes magnetic, not because you begged for it, but because you became hard to replace. Luxury isn't just about quality, it's about access being earned. And the moment you stop treating yourself like a convenience, you start living like a king. Your time is the currency of your life. Spend it where it appreciates in value. If you want to be considered a luxury, you can't be someone they can reach anytime, drain for free, or take for granted. You must build a life so rich in purpose that being around you is a gift, not a right. So guard your time, protect your peace, and remember, the rarest man in the room is the one who knows when to leave it. Comment below, I made myself rare.